Greater Good Radio. Connect, learn, heal, and grow.
MAPS has mostly worked to make MDMA into medicine for post-traumatic stress disorder through the FDA. We also had sites in Israel and in Canada. We did start a lot of research in Europe, but it's been shut down since then by Lykos, the pharma company, because they're focusing just on the FDA. So what the story of Maui is that, first off, it's a story about long-term friendships. So Matt Lauren and I have known each other for 35 years. We were together in graduate school at the Harvard's Kennedy School of Government. We did a tremendous project there. We were there, and I was involved in student government during the Tiananmen Square massacre. And again, it was led by student government leaders in China. We were in student government at the Kennedy School, and we wanted to do some kind of a response to that. And so Matt and I worked together to organize protests all over the world on the year anniversary, not of the massacre, but several days before that, the Chinese students did a fast. And so we commemorated the fast, and we actually worked through Congress and managed to get a national day for freedom and human rights in China and Tibet passed through the Congress, and we got George Bush to sign it, even though he didn't want to. Derek Bach, who was the president of Harvard for 10 years, said it was the most effective student activism he'd seen in his entire time at Harvard. So Matt and I formed this friendship upon working towards this kind of social change in a way, working for freedom 35 years ago. And we've kept in touch through this entire time. So Matt contacted me recently and said that because of the fires in Maui, that there was a lot of people with PTSD, and he wondered, could we bring MDMA-assisted therapy to Hawaii to help those people that were traumatized by the fires and the possible negligence, you could say, of the electric companies and all these things. So what we're trying to do, and what brought me here, so the purpose of this trip, why I'm here, why we're having this conversation, is to try to plant the seeds for developing a study that would be done in Maui with people who were traumatized from the fire, the survivors. But also we would try to train local healers so that it would be more culturally sensitive.
Is that only therapists then? Only licensed clinicians?
No, not necessarily, because we have a two-person team. So when we do individual therapy, it's a two-person team. The first has to have a license. The second can be like an apprentice. Oh. Doesn't need to have a license. What we're thinking about in Maui would be to do a group therapy project as well, because these were people traumatized in a group. Maybe we can reinforce the healing in a group. Maybe the integration process will be supported by people helping each other because they've all been through a similar trauma. So we had meetings that the Clarity Project, Ashley Lukens arranged, and so we met with the governor, we met some major legislators, and what I hope is that by the time that this story airs, that there will be a protocol approved, there will be a plan, there'll be funding in place to do group therapy for people that were traumatized by the fires in Maui.
How could somebody like myself be involved with that? So as a non-clinician, could I participate in that?
Because it's FDA, because it's a Schedule 1 drug, MDMA, we're going to need to get FDA approval. The lead researchers need to get DEA approvals to handle the drug, so that the FDA has set these standards, at least so far, for the credentials for the people that will actually deliver the therapy. So that's where I'm saying the first person needs to be licensed to do therapy, but currently they're saying that the second person needs 1,000 hours of behavioral health experience, preferably mental health.
How do they track that?
Well, let's say you've done sitting at ayahuasca sessions.
Oh, it has to be psychedelic related?
No, not at all. No, you could have worked in a mental hospital, or you could have worked in a halfway house, or helped people that were just out of drug abuse treatment, or if there's just some way that you could demonstrate 1,000 hours of this, that's the current criteria, the minimum criteria set by the FDA.
Okay.
They may even want to change that to be 1 year, but that hasn't happened yet. So the ways to get involved are, what you're doing right now is making sure that we talk about this project so people know about it. That's tremendous. And so we are looking for donations. The donations can be to the Clarity Project, for this Maui project. And another way to help is, one of the most important things that we're going to need over time as psychedelics become more accepted as medicines is we're really going to need more therapists. So it's not something you do right away, but you've got a lot of experience. So you might consider getting the credentials and studying to be a therapist. I mean, again, it's not necessary, but that would be one way to participate. The other is going to be to sort of help tell the story of this so people are aware. One would be through fundraising to encourage people to donate to this project. The other is that in our therapy training program, where we're going to try to train 50 or so Hawaiian therapists in this 6-day program, we don't limit that just to therapists. So you could potentially be one of the people that goes through the training, just so that you can know and speak more about it and let people know about that. Another part is that we're going to have this Psychedelic Science 2025 conference in June, the 16th to the 20th of June in Denver. And it's going to be gathering the entire psychedelic community.
That was a big one.
Yeah. The one 2 years ago was 12,400 people.
Yeah.
It's just mind-boggling. It's just incredible. And so we're going to have another one. So, again, this episode I think will come out before that, so people can think about coming to that. You could also. I think this other idea is just, what do we need to know about culturally specific ways to work with people that were on Maui in the fires? Do they respond kind of in the same way that people on the mainland would respond? Or what kind of cultural things do we need to know? That could be...
That's going to be
a contribution.
Significant.
Yeah, very much so. And I think those are the main ways that you could get involved without being the credentials. Also, talking to politicians. That's what Ashley was talking about, too, is that people need to talk to the Hawaiian politicians and say, this is something good. Maybe we could get a grant from the state of Hawaii to do this study. And then if it works, the state of Hawaii will save enormous amounts of money, because now instead of these people being disabled and not able to work and suffering and having other medical conditions, maybe through the healing of their trauma, so that kind of political lobby work, maybe there's a way to get funding from the state for some of the expenses.
If you resonate with Greater Good Radio, please join our community at www.greatergoodradio.com, where you can get access to exclusive content and offerings. Hope to see you soon.